Dobro Pajalava, hello everybody, and welcome back to Revival Tournament, brought to you by Revival Divisions League. You know the drill by now, that is us. We are moving on to the second matchup of round 2. If you're not completely familiar with the bracket and are struggling to understand the bracket shown on screen, I will dive into that soon, but let me get through the formalities first. It is a sunny 24 degrees Celsius where I live. Central Europe is returning to a 30-degree average once the sun is at its zenith again, so not fun times, but at least later in the day, we not only get to enjoy cooler temperature, but also some really cool matches. I know that was corny. My name is Mathis, and I'm your host for today. The trailer you saw at the beginning was made by the lovely Torsolman, one of our designers. It is uploaded to YouTube, so if you want to rewatch it, type !YouTube in the chat, and you will be directed straight to our channel. Not only will you find the trailer there, but also other videos, including VODs of every livestream, because we multi-stream to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. So, all the more reason to head on over to our channel and subscribe to not miss out, in case Twitch is not your cup of tea. I personally always struggle with navigating around VODs on Twitch, and YouTube just makes it so much easier. Again, !YouTube in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe. While you're at it, don't forget about our Discord channel either. Use !Discord to join the community in case you want to reach out or need to read up on the rule set. Everything you may ever need can be found on our Discord server. Yesterday we got to witness a phenomenal matchup between X9 and Umbrella. I highly recommend rewatching it, in case you've missed it. We saw X9 take the matchup 2-1 overall, with Umbrella now descending to the lower bracket, where they'll be facing none other than Praxis, meaning either Praxis or Umbrella will be eliminated from the tournament in round 1 of the lower bracket after having lost a matchup. And yeah, that's the only lifeline you get. Lose again in the lower bracket and you drop from the tournament. Dante might have featured 9 Circuits of Hell, but we only feature 2. Go beyond and only God can save you then. I'm getting too melodramatic, let me move on. You might have a couple of questions on how exactly the bracket works with 12 teams in the tournament, and especially with what those arrows mean on the bracket you have now seen a couple of times on screen. Those indicate where the respective teams have started or have entered the stage, so 8 teams start in round 1, the other 4 in round 2. How did this come about? The seeding was entirely randomized, meaning any team could have skipped round 1. Use the command !challenge in chat if you're not satisfied with just seeing the bracket on screen right now and want to get a better understanding of team placements and what paths are set out for them in the tournament. Results are posted there quicker than on our graphics, since everything is hand-designed, and on Challenge it only takes me a couple clicks, so do take advantage of what Challenge has to offer. As you can tell by the images on screen as well, I'm not the only caster tonight. I'm joined by a, by now, very familiar face to our audience, and without any further ado, I'm happy to introduce Cyber. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. How are we feeling today?
I am feeling pretty good. I am excited, Mathis. Last time we saw Sinners play in round 1, it was honestly my favorite series so far of the tourney. So much back and forth, so much, how do I word it? It just explosiveness, so much unexpected. We saw Sinners take set 1 in a very dramatic fashion, that Lich set last week. Then set 2, which we're going to talk a little bit about shortly, that Blight set. That unfortunately did not end in their favor, but oh man, was it entertaining, Mathis.
Yeah, you want to talk about it in a second. I'm assuming you're trying to indicate to me that you want to talk about it once we get to that second pick, because that is what Onyx are taking advantage of. One of the 2 teams that we've got featured today. And Onyx, I want to highlight here at this point as well, because, Cyber, this is their entry to this tournament. As I've already talked about this before with the bracket, they are one of the lucky few to enter at this stage, and I don't really have to ask you if you think this is a great privilege or big advantage going into this tournament. But what would that also mean for Sinners if they lose in this matchup?
Sinners, obviously you don't want to lose. You just had that super close one that we just talked about between Praxis versus Praxis last week. Basically means it's for naught. It's the same basically as if you lost in that first round. You don't want really that win to be 4-0. So you really want to at least try to secure today to give yourself that little bit of edge to go a little bit deeper in that upper bracket. And at worst, you fall a little bit farther in to that lower bracket.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Starting in round 1 in the higher brackets basically meant that you have to play an entire extra round because, yeah, as you rightfully pointed out, so if you end up losing in this matchup after you've made it past round 1, you move down to round 1 in the lower bracket regardless and have to face off against one of the other unlucky few that started in round 1 and lost in round 1 of the higher bracket. So, as you pointed out, yeah, Sinners have to make it worth that they ended up winning this first initial matchup because otherwise it was all, in essence, for nothing. Do you think they come into this matchup with a good amount of pace, or do you think that that first round, that first matchup may have put a bit of fatigue on them?
I don't think I think they're coming in with a little bit of pace. I think they're coming in still pretty confident. Obviously, new tournament, different rules, a little bit of uncertainty in there, but you have that experience and you have that understanding of how things are going to play out. And I think it'll especially be more beneficial today in the fact that two of the sets are two sets that they already have played.
Yep.
We have a nurse set and a Blight set, something that they played in their previous match. So they have a little bit of that understanding of how they want to take it. Onyx is coming in. Obviously, we talked about has that advantage. One of the teams that had that bye round. So you got to watch all the games and see that. But there's a difference between watching the game and trying to understand and analyze other teams doing something versus being in the trial yourself.
Yeah, regarding that pace that they're coming into this now, I find it really interesting because, let's just skip right to the second pick and just skip the nurse that we are going to see in the first round. We have Onyx picking Blight, and that might be based on something we have already seen, Cyber. Would you care to enlighten the audience?
Last week, obviously, we were talking so much about this Praxis Sinners game. We saw Praxis Sinners, I think it was Sinners who had chose the Blight set in that round, where Jason played pretty well in Blight. Obviously, like we've talked about a bunch of new rules set, it's on Gas Haven, which isn't a common map for Blight, as well as there's a lot more perks allowed for Killer and Survivor, so just a bit of chaos everywhere. But the Killer side wasn't really, I think, what we're talking about here. The Serve side. OB from Praxis got a 4K4, almost a 4K5 on Blight, really showing the ability to punish the rotations on that map. OB, I don't think, missed a single rush, taking advantage of every little bit of space that he could. And I think Onyx is hoping to replicate something like that today.
And this is also not based on the fact that our balancing might be really killer-sided, because there's a couple of perks that you may have never seen before allowed against the Blight. One of them being nothing else but Shoulder the Burden. A perk that is typically just straight up permaban, general banned in every balancing you'll ever see. But both teams had it available last week. I'm not sure if either side got value out of it, because the only thing I remember is Obi finding one of the Sinners Survivor that had it equipped right from the get-go, so they weren't even able to get any value from it, because that Survivor already had too many status on him before he could get any value out of a perk. So I would be fascinated if we finally got to see some value out of that perk, and do not fret, this Shoulder the Burden is not allowed on every killer. It is exclusively the Blight, as I investigate, what's the word? I consider him to be, at least right now in comp, the strongest killer in the game, even if he's not on that Suffocation Pit where we always end up seeing him, but even on Suffocation Pit, he ends up holding those really tight 3-gens. But as you've already pointed out, today we are seeing Gas Haven, a map that is typically much more open. Do you think that is more of an advantage to the killer or a disadvantage? Because again, yeah, it's very open, it's less likely to encounter these 3-gens later in the trial, even though obviously they're available on all maps. And I can imagine a pretty devious setup on Gas 7 with, let's say, Shack, and then the other landmark right beside it, either the crane or the truck, and then pretty sure one can also just spawn right in between. I'm hoping our survivors can tackle this. But yeah, do you think, is it better for Blight to have these open maps, or is he stronger on these bottleneck maps like Suffocation Pit 1?
Oh, I think that really comes down to the individual player because the open maps like Gashaven really give you an advantage in terms of being able to, as the Blight, I guess I should say, specifically, not survivors. It gives the advantage to Blight of information. The map is so open, you can see across most of it. The survivors, it's a little bit harder to stealth, I'd say, than Suffocation Pit. The bigger walls that you can't see through whatsoever. The more line of sight breakers, especially in that mid map, all of the tiles showing together, just make it a little bit more difficult to really have that information as you're going back and forth. But on the contrary, not having a bottleneck means you can't just dead zone the map as easy. It's a lot harder to really zone survivors to where if you're playing explicitly using Suffocation Pit as the example for a bottleneck map, if you wanted to play topside, you could just break all of the fillers, zoning the survivor towards that main building, and eventually they're going to run out of everything to where it's a little bit harder on these maps that are a little more open to just chain more fillers together, more tiles. So I think it really comes down to how confident you are game sense wise to be able to punish the rotations like we saw Obi doing last week, or how confident you are mechanically to really punish. And you need to try to bump around a lot of these palaces rather than just break in zone, break in zone, break in zone, because that might not be as an effective strategy.
Obi is certainly one of the best, if not the best. I mean, he's definitely up there in the top 3, at the worst top 5. I would say top 3, and that's not just because I'm biased, considering he's my former teammate from years ago. But yeah, Obi is up there with one of the best Blight players in the history of this game, most likely. So that may have just overwhelmed Sinners a bit too much in the previous game. The one thing I really want to point out about bottleneck maps is also the fact that once you're stuck in that 3-gen trying to tackle it, there's no way to escape. There's no way out. Once the killer approaches you, you're stuck on the side of the map with the killer. But if you're on an open map like Gashaven, you can escape left and right. You can kind of try to make it to another tile. You're just not stuck in this position, not stuck in this pocket that you would always be stuck in a bottleneck map. But yeah, that's enough about the Blight, because we need to focus on the set that we have up ahead first, and that is Nurse on Rancid Abattoir, picked by Sinners, meaning we'll also see Sinners on Killer first, and that's obviously going to be Big Wee Jason. Nurse on Rancid, have you seen this? Nice voice crack. I assume, considering you're a bit of an OG yourself, having started watching and playing COM in 2020, this is probably not alien to you whatsoever, is it? Nurse on Rancid Abattoir is a bit of an OG pick, which is exactly why I've put this map into the pool. How are we feeling about this map?
Obviously, this is a long time ago that we saw Nurse on Rancid Abattoir. The corn looked so different. The map itself was laid out so differently. Whenever I think of Nurse Rancid Abattoir, I think way back in the day, especially Very Track Disco. Just one of the most infamous games of that time. Oh man, we could talk a lot about that. But specifically, Nurse and Rancid Abattoir now, it's been something we haven't seen in so long. Nurse, it's so iffy on if it's a good map or bad map, because on one hand, it's so open. There's no hard line of sight breakers. There's just the corn, and there's a lot of it. So it really comes down to, I think, your just confidence in blinking around the corn and playing around that, finding the stealths and rotations of the survivors through that difficulty and vision.
I'm super excited to see this. Nurse Rancid Abattoir, one of my personal absolute favorite picks. I remember having started comp in 2021, scrimming the old version of this map against Nurse. I remember this very clearly, playing against Metal 5, now on Team Serene, also still around in comp. Awesome. When I joined my very first ever team, playing against Metal 5 on that map was such an experience. Oh, so much fun. And yeah, Rancid Abattoir was just an absolute personal favorite of mine. Typically, you see usually the more one-sided killers on this map, so I'm curious to see how Nurse is going to behave this time around, because this is, as you've already pointed out, it's a bit of an OG pick, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna see something really interesting today.
We'll have to see, and starting off very fast, Wee Jason already finding a bunch of survivors. Scrolly going to be the unfortunate survivor that ends up eating that first tag of the trial. Is now blinking around that main building. One blink, and we're going to get the second one, and yes, we are. This is a very fast start, and unfortunately for our survivors, this is not a great death spot. Scrolly dead in that middle of the map, really allowing Jason to carry wherever we want, but it doesn't look like we want to take that hook, as Levy going to be meeting their maker a little bit, taking that tag towards the shack right now. Sprint Burst going to be used, and I think Jason is just going to full slug this out a little bit. One blink going to be used too, and that is another survivor on the ground. I'm seeing why we picked this set here.
Now that is steamrolling into this trial. Wow, I did not expect Jason to just get 2 downs right from the get-go. What even happened there? I think he found both of them stealthing behind main, and I'm assuming Jason just sent a full range blink right behind main building, just caught our survivors off guard entirely. That is going to be a ridiculous amount of pressure right from the get-go, but we should see Scroily on this first Hex Totem. No terror radius in sight, I was about to say, because of the heart indicator. But yeah, also no terror radius to be heard just yet, so he will be able to get this first Hex out of the trial, but that is only Undying, and Jason still has Rune available. And besides that, we're going to see Eruption and Agitation. Honestly, very popular on Earth, especially that Agitation is just probably one of her best perks, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly. Hook position is everything, especially in these S tier sets. Being able to hook deep into 3-gen, trying to hold it down. Agitation just makes that so much easier. We are going to see Scrolly get the reset on hook on Levy. Does end up coming through. Looks like Jason might be looking around, trying to read where this survivor might have wandered off to. We see the scratch marks in the main building. Who is it is the question. I think they might have rotated away, but I don't think Jason wants anything to do with them, as blinking towards that bottom side of the map. And no one going to be spotted as of yet. Looks like Jason just patrolling around, playing it safe. Doesn't want to let any unhooks go for free right now. As looks like I think that is Elo who's going to be playing a little bit close to that hook, trying to get their way. Has the overcome in case they do take a hit to be able to send it in and guarantee the trade nonetheless. But Aaron, yeah, just going to be sitting on hook. I think we do have Scrolly and Levy splitting those far gens. Yes, we do. Yeah, playing super safe across the map entirely. Doesn't want to make any risk whatsoever. As it looks like now, Elo slowly getting up from their position now, making sure they're in range to get this, waiting to that last possible second, just trying to buy as much gen pressure as possible. Jason knows that survivor has to be here, and now going to be revealed. Our Dwight Fairfield's going to be taking that overcome hit to the hook, and yes, we are going to get that trade in time. Are we going to get that plot twist off? No, I do not think we did. We have the tenacity, but we did not get our self-pickup perk off, Mathis.
Plot twist Deliverance is also just such a devious combo. I'm glad you highlighted it, because yeah, it's just straight up denies the killer, the slug in that situation. But Jason was too close to the hook and will be able to intercept it. Also, the perk value they're about to get here though as well. We got Deliverance up, now we have Decisive Strike and Chase. So Aaron, if he can prolong the chase just a bit more. Oh, this is gonna be rough now. He does have the Decisive Strike. Obviously he wants to use the Lithe right after, but he's not in perfect position for this window. Probably gonna try to queue for the fast forward here, but is he gonna make much distance? I can imagine Jason just trying to go for the one blink. Tries to be a bit unpredictable, breaking line of sight, but Jason reclaims it immediately, and that corner is just not gonna be enough. Aaron will go down right after, has that Unbreakable available as well, but Jason decided not to tunnel, not to slug here whatsoever, immediately eats the Decisive Strike for very good reason, because he's got the pace on his side. That is the third stage into the trial, the second onto Aaron. It's looking pretty good for a killer right now, unless they've got gen pressure much stronger exerted than what I would have anticipated. Elo tries to go for the very early save again, and it's gonna be the overcome, but Jason's just gonna be able to tunnel out Aaron right after, isn't he?
I think so here, and we know that Decisive Strike has already been used, so the survivor just has that base kit endurance, and Jason not even gonna blink. It looks like we're just gonna full wait this one out. Aaron knows we need to use that life, and we need to use it now, and that'll be a hit on the last possible second of that base kit endurance, making our full distance to the cow tree in the corner right now. Looks like we have the pallet, but I don't think we're going for a stun anytime soon. Just gonna be playing around. We're gonna be fatiguing now. Jason gonna be stuck a little bit on the other side, but that is no trouble for him, as one blink through the cow tree will be plenty enough to take Aaron onto the ground one last time and send them back to the campfire. Is now going back. I think we have a bit of a 4-gen here, Mathis, on the side of the map if you're loosely counting that main building, or maybe even kind of a 5-gen. It's kind of rough to see, but a lot of gens over here.
I mean, really, any map has a 7-gen, doesn't it? But yeah, they did pop both of those generators. Ooh, pretty good split now. They... okay. That's pretty funny. The plot was then the foreground popped right at the same time, forcing Jason to pick this now. A really nice crawl here by our Dwight as well. Was the tenacity, did catch Jason off guard a little bit, and some fantastic gen pressure here by Onyx, I must emphasize on this. He's gonna waste a couple of those precious seconds here by crawling into the corner, using that tenacity. And plot twist, obviously, also, the moment you plot twist go down, you immediately regain control of your character. Unlike when you've just taken a hit, of course, obviously, you have to go through that falling down animation. But yeah, does Jason have a promising 3-gen to play around? One's inside main building, the other two are outside, but in the, I want to say, roughly the same sector of the trial. But this main building is going to break line of sight so efficiently for our survivors. I wouldn't be surprised if they just play the super safe now and pre-leave a good minute early, because Jason is never going to have that early line of sight on any of our survivors. So they will be able to pre-leave very efficiently if they do time it right. And we're gonna see Elo here going down again, gonna proc that plot twist, waiting out the deliverance. Broken status effect. So far, survivors have been getting textbook value out of our perks at the deliverance. Now it's just, well, I hope I didn't just jinx it, because, yeah, now with that plot twist, if we find them now, please don't blame me. But yeah, I'm imagining, are they just gonna play for time? Yeah, one person does pressure this main building, and I'm imagining Levy is just gonna play a bit of time here. He is in that corner. That was super close, wasn't it? He just checked that corner. But he does get the pickup.
Benefit of having the tenacity with that plot twist is if you see the killer, you could try to crawl around rocks. I don't think you leave a trail of blood on the ground, so has a little bit more ability to avoid the killer. As Scrolly going to be playing safe here, walking to the back of that main building, doesn't want to get spotted out just yet. As I would like to point out, we did lose both of our Hex Totems. Ruin and Undying are off the table for Jason, so now we just have our Eruption left, which is strong, don't get me wrong, but in this situation where you can't see these generators, we're going to start kicking gens. And our survivors have been playing pretty safe so far. If they continue this pace up, we could see Jason get pushed to the regression limit here. We're going to be looking for someone here. As we do need to get something going soon if we're Jason.
Is that pushing to the limits a strategy you see much? Because I swear it's kind of similar to Traumatech, where everybody keeps loving to talk about it, but survivors, or teams in general, never actually push it that far. Because either they get bored, or run out of patience pretty much, or they end up making a mistake. Do you think it's realistic to see? Have you seen it before?
In an idealistic world, yes, I have. In an idealistic world where survivors don't make mistakes, this is in their court. It is on them to mess it up, to not pre-leave early enough, to get caught stealthing. Jason, it's not really in their control. As of what's happening so far, survivors have just pre-left over and over again. I think we've had now a minute or two where this is all that's been happening. Jason hasn't got eyes on another survivor ever since we got that hook on our deliverance elo. But we're just going to be going back and forth, and I think we also have some gen speed perks available. As if not mistaken, Scrolly is playing overzealous. We got a Hex Totem cleanse earlier in the trial. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think that is 10% bonus speed we have to gens until we get injured once again.
You know what, I'll take the easy way out. Yes. Let me hover over that real quick. It is in fact 10%. I was also considering, was it? Because they did buff, we found, Levy's found. It was buffed at some point, or running immediately into that basement, has the resurgence up as well, so... Yeah, but I wouldn't even be surprised. No, he does decide to go for the Pikz. I was gonna point out as well the killer perks that Jason has available now, because, again, no pain res, as it's also general ban in tier 1, but doesn't have pop. Eruption is a really nice snowball perk, because it's typically what you're looking at when you're in a 3v1, supported by, as long as the killer is supported by these gen kick perks. The moment you get that first down, it starts snowballing, because that is where you will be able to get your regression in over and over, be it pop, be it eruption, because obviously the moment you get that down, your perks get activated. And yeah, with pop, it's just gonna delay the survivors oh so more. You should typically end up getting hit one chase after the other as well. Did he just get confused by the hook there, or did he actually find Scrolly? No, but he did find Scrolly. Is it, because obviously the moment you have to go for that unhook, you leave yourself vulnerable to tunnel outs, to just quick chases right after. And then you just get pop over and over and over. The same with eruption. But with eruption, you do have to leave quite the chase is quite a lot more. Scrolly with a fantastic chase right now. Oh, it does get that last pixel. Very unfortunate. But they popped the last gen.
They got so much progress just playing so safe that the downs did end up coming through, but not soon enough, as looks like Lebvi here pushing in quite aggressively for the store. Is we Jason going to get this find? If we can't spot Arcade Denson, this could spell disasters. We're so close to that slug, but no, that survivor's not going to end up being found, as we are going to end up finding Elo, who's pushing away, is end up going to be popping that fog vial, which don't know if that's really deterring we Jason in these moments, as we are going to end up getting that pickup. Lebvi is right here on the store. Do we expect that they're going to have as much progress as we are? It looks like, yeah, we're going to be pushing our survivor into the corner right now. That is 2 lights lit up on that door. It's going to be close. We hear it. It's about to be open. Do we get the interrupt in time?
What?
No, we do not. Oh, we get the grab. That's insane. Instant down, but the door is tappable. We're diving the door. We have the basic endurance. We're full body blocking. We Jason knows we cannot afford to hit this in any sense. M1ing now going to be come through onto Elo, popping that door, trying to run out of the trial. Is going to be able to make it to the exit gate now, but we have a survivor stuck in still. Scrolly, can we get by the killer? We Jason's going to end up being forced to pick up Lebvi. We have the dead hard. Do we drop the survivor? Looks like we're going to try to zone. Scrolly going to be forced running back into that map. Dead hard at our tool. Can we get this? One blink going to be a second one. Deading super early, but to no avail. Is once again on the ground. We're gonna be picked up here, as looks like we're gonna try to crawl up, but I don't know, Mathis, if we're making it.
Hang on. I mean, obviously, the strat there, I mean, maybe I'm just defending Onyx here too much. He may have got grabbed intentionally there to force we Jason to pick Lebvi, who was our death hook survivor, so Squirrely could get unhooked in the meantime, so they get more status out of the game. That was a mental end game. Wonderful, absolutely incredible, and that would have been perfect, would have been flawless had the dead hard hit. But we have to keep in mind again, this is we Jason from Argentina connecting to Europe, so the ping is pretty high, and that is exactly why we saw that super preemptive dead hard. But such a fantastic display by Team Onyx just to never give up and trying to get as many stages out of the trial as possible. But we Jason does end up with 9, so that might be a pretty rough result considering what they could have got escaped with. I really want to highlight this this end game one more time before we get into any other detail. So let us go to a quick replay screen and highlight this one more time. The fog valve comes up, we see our survivor, or our Kate, the death hook survivor on this exit gate. And now it's just a race of time. He does get the grab here. Again, that couldn't have been intentional considering how close it was. They were probably praying the door's just gonna open. And then we Jason just body blocks it. Ends up taking the hit here, however, on our Dwight, who has that overcome, so he will be able to escape in time. Because otherwise, just from opening the door, that would have cancelled your speed boost just enough that we Jason may have got the down on our survivor here as well, who would have also only been first hook. So that would have been a valuable 2 stages, but then it could have also just been too much to handle at this later stage in the trial. And yeah, here we see it, the very unfortunate dead hard. Is that roughly what you analyze here as well, Cyber, or is there anything that I might have missed?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I would have to imagine that wasn't an intentional get grabbed at the exit gate. I think if we didn't get grabbed in that moment, Lebvi is able to pop the door and run a little bit into the exit gate, where then you have Elo and Scrolly, who are both healthy, or not healthy, sorry, Scrolly had the endurance, but you have another health state that can try to heal tech to get you out the door.
Oh yeah.
So I think yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. I wonder if there's maybe some ping involved with letting go there or not. I will say we do catch Lebvi crawling into the map a little bit. Maybe it was intentional to some degree, but I don't know. Yeah, Scrolly, we see, unfortunately, you said it, the ping on the dead hard. We didn't touch too much on it. This is South America to Europe, so that's a pretty hefty, roughly, I would say 200 to 250 overall when you're accounting for the killer's ping as well to their own server, plus the survivor cross ping. It's so difficult to judge those hits sometimes.
Also, I'm ashamed that I said Argentina. It's Argentina, obviously, to anyone who's about to light up the pitchforks. The torches, and run at me with the pitchforks as well. But yeah, I mean, I have to get this right considering the World Cup is going on right now. And also Argentina's the team I'm supporting. But yes, this endgame, now that you mentioned this as well with the gate grab, I'm pretty sure it couldn't have been intentional, because let's imagine that gate did get opened. We would have seen the unhook. Jason would not have been able to body block that gate. And that would have been a guaranteed 2 survivors out of the gate right then and there. Maybe Kate could have also crawled thanks to a heal tech. But yeah, this could have gone much worse for our Onyx survivors. Could have gone much better for them. And I want to say this is almost a middle ground result, but I'm pretty sure they could have at least escaped with, I want to say 8 stages here. Could have been. And now that I'm counting stages here, however, I would have been screwed. Yeah, it should have been 8 stages in the end. But that is not the only thing that we can really talk about, because, yeah, with this slowed down game in the middle of the trial, what I wanted to mention, this one certain moment, we can pull it up again. Or did I may not have clipped it. But yeah, well, we saw Squiley on main building hiding very early into that trial. But yeah, what I want to point out is how perfect, really, this chase was here by Aaron after he's been unhooked. You may consider, oh well, he didn't really dodge any blinks here, but the distance he covers, he gets hooked in the middle of the map. You do get the, yeah, he takes the hit here with the overcome, does get the unhook, and I mean, look at how much distance he covers, his Cyber, right? This is perfect. This is exactly what you want against the nurse.
Yeah, you're bot mid right now. Obviously, Jason knows we do not have decisive strike any longer. So we use our life at the perfect last frame of our endurance. Jason tries to hit you through. It doesn't want to allow you to have that life distance, so tries the last pixel you, but it doesn't end up panning out in their favor here. As you hit that base kit endurance, you give even more distance to our Lara Croft here, Aaron, as then you're just forced all the way far, far away to that corner, which allows our survivor, I think it was Elo, to end up getting picked up, get full healed, and then just get so much more time. Or actually, no, I don't think it was the full heal. I think we just ended up getting picked up, and then I think we might have reset ourselves. I'm not 100% sure, but they just had so much gem progress. The death spot was perfect. This was a very textbook game of Nurse of how you want to try to play this. Your 4v1 was good. You bought a lot of time with it, and then once you entered 3v1, you just slowed the game down to a bleeding halt for Jason.
And I want to say, this was a pretty impeccable comeback by Onyx as well, considering that early game that we saw at the start, right? With 2 down so quickly. We got the down into Squiley. Also have to skip through this very, very quickly because we are already going in-game. The lobby's been setting up incredibly quickly in the background. Then let us go right over.
Ooh, bit of interesting point and note here. Something you had touched on a little bit in that previous trial. Not having that pop, we have a bit of difference in builds here. We don't have the Ruin and Dying. Instead, we brought the Pop Goes the Weasel alongside Eruption with Corrupt. So wanting a little bit more defense to those early gens right now, so we are going to be spotting Survivor scratch marks around the back of main. I would imagine with Pop and Eruption, we are wanting to try to hold that 3-gen a little bit more, maybe play into it a little bit, but I don't know. We'll have to see how this pans out in terms of build here.
And I really appreciate that he tried to get to achieve the exact same start as Jason did, just aggressively blinking behind main. I swear he could have released that second blink though. We did see a bit of hesitation, and right after he managed to, I want to say float, because the nurse doesn't really walk, she floats. Right after Rasa floats around the corner, yeah, we see the scratch marks there, but no survivors left available, and I've also just been informed that Onyx take a penalty this game for bringing the wrong offering. Still, killers are supposed to bring the Priesthood Oak. Not exactly sure what he decided to bring. Probably the cut coin, just muscle memory. But yeah, we allow searching chests. Not looting the items though, but to activate certain perks, we allow looting chests, and that may have just confused Rasa. Very unfortunate, so that will be a penalty going to this trial. But yeah, I mean, with 9 stages that he has to achieve, well, now 10. Practically has to be a 4K, right?
Basically, as I don't think that really changes too much in the grand scheme of things, as we do have quite a bit of pressure early on here. Draza not able to secure any hits on Fednet there. Robin, who was running around that Mitra earlier, forced to leave that and is now looking around for another survivor. These Sinner survivors have, I think, is this 2 separate gens? I couldn't tell. I think that might have been the same gen, so I'm not 100% if they have another gen that has too much progress right now. Is Bucky going to be able to wrap around the tile and not take that hit so far? Going to be taking that distance towards the shack. This is our decisive strike survivor, so has the merit and the comfort of knowing if we are the tunnel out, we have that ability to be able to lose the killer, but a good double back by Bucky It means we're not even going to be taking an injury anytime soon. Is now just going to be wrapping around the shack, hugging that rock. Might end up punishing us, but might also end up in our merit. As Bucky still not injured. First gen does end up popping right now. We have the light on this tile now. Bucky just full sending it far, far away. And that is the second gener popping it. We're bringing it to our teammates. Bucky is going to finally take that injury, but I don't think we really care about bringing it to our teammates, as I think 2 generators on this side of the map have popped. This is where we want to be if you are the Sinner survivors for that death spot here, Mathis.
And Bucky right now just acknowledging, yeah, mission accomplished, let me just go down. Edge map to optimize the hook position for the survivors, because obviously the further you go down in the corner, the more the nurse will struggle to find an adequate hook for her web of gens. So really smart play by Bucky. He knew when to finish. So yeah, he's had this impeccable chase at the start of the trial. Still has Decisive Strike up next as well. So if Rasa decides to tunnel, this might backfire drastically. I can imagine our survivors are going to go for the Zanuck really soon, because yeah, Rasa is just sending it right to main. We get the Zanuck bio, will make it survivor as well, but yeah, our survivors are going to pre-leave it, expecting Rasa to most likely return. And then I'm imagining they've now regrouped to get that reset. The moment they noticed that Rasa is in fact not returning. And another miss here, very unfortunate. Jason will still not take the injury. And yeah, compared to the previous trial, we had so many hits by Jason, or a very great accuracy of blinks here. And this is what, or considering what we're watching right now, this is Rasa punching up at the moment. Tries to get the one blink onto Jason, but fails to do so. And he'll get so much more distance here. And then the edge map finally goes down though. And we do get the eruption scream in the distance. So he's finally able to get a bit of value out of his perks. May have been the Rune Undying that allowed for our previous killer Jason to get so much early game pressure, because again, yeah, our survivors weren't able to focus on generators. They had to get rid of... had to get rid of objectives, other objectives first. Had to get rid of the totems. I have no idea how he didn't just see him there. Here we go.
Now spotted Deloff, gonna just be sending it for Jason, but Rasa knows we need to hold these generators. We need to defend them. We're going for that 4K if we realistically want to try to take the set. Is 2 blinks into that main building. Isn't going to quite be able to convert on those. Going to be using our pop eruption once again on this main building to try to take a huge chunk out of it. Send it back as close to 0 as possible, but blinking back now. Looks like we might try to end up going for Jason, possibly maybe start going towards that tunnel out angle. Bucky going to immediately be attacking that main building gen again. Jason also going to be joining them, as Deloff going to be just playing in this corner. We see Fednet splitting a far gen. Are we going to be able to convert this? Blink is Deloff didn't end up wrapping the tile. Looks like Rasa went for a bit of a prediction on that to try to greed, see if they can find out where they're going. Is now going to be trying to play around this pallet, but does end up panning out here, as that is a very fast M1, but this is our Deliverance survivor, so it's definitely not
wonderful.
too bad for Sinners. There's a very good blink there. Is going to be able to put this survivor on the floor, but I'm sure Rasa also knows this survivor can very easily get themselves off that hook in no time. That main building gen is so close. Is it going to pop? Actually, I don't know. It's going to be close, Mathis.
He has to insta-send this, somehow get a grab, and then get an exposed insta-down on the other survivor, but yeah, that's just not gonna happen. And Deloaf just uses that Deliverance right away as well, knowing fully well Rasa has no option to return. He must commit to this generator on main. Another very unfortunate hit on Bucky, and that is 3 stages with 5 gens repaired. Wow!
What a performance by our Cinder survivors. Not even done. Bucky still double backing these blinks, wanting to make this chase so painful for Rasa. Is now going to be wrapping around this tractor. Going to be sending the blink through, is a perfectly timed double back once again. Bucky is just playing insane right now in Survivor, and Rasa knows they don't have the time to go looking for him in Survivor. You can't go try to find your fresh and Fednet, but Bucky also knows. Oh, I was going to say forcing lock guarantees that you get the door open, but tried to hop out at the last possible second. As it looks like Rasa here, a little worried maybe someone's here with a firecracker, maybe a flashlight, but no, nobody is home. As Bucky will just result on that hook. I would imagine we're not going for the sun hook. There is a door pretty close, but I would just imagine all survivors out the door right now.
I mean, gotta point out, Bucky must have been the MVP of this match. His burning scars of that Legacy 3 skin were the flaming spear straight through Rasa's figurative heart. Fantastic chases by our Claudette, and Rasa just didn't stand a chance. I'm not even sure if that game... How long did that game last? 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all Bucky could spare. Haha, no, I'm not making that joke. I'm stopping myself halfway, because that is just way too corny. Yeah, -2 in chat, if you know that meme. But yeah, fantastic by our Sinnoh survivors. Have to keep in mind, though, this is Sinnoh's set. So... we know fully well what this means. We expected them to come into this with a bit of momentum, and, I mean, Jason was just absolutely devious on this nurse, wasn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely. Jason was playing so good. I don't know if Jason even missed a blink. And the survivors, the Sinners, have to touch on that once again. We didn't even see, we barely saw Fednet in this trial, but Fednet was our first chase of this match. Fednet was all the way in that far, far corner at the cow tree, just running around it. Our Robin, I think that was the only time we actually got eyes on this survivor in the trial. And we ended up leaving. We didn't end up committing and staying on that survivor. And then Fednet was just never seen again. Just allegedly was working those gens.
Yeah, I didn't even really get a reason to pan to his camera there, did I? Because, yeah, I swear as you pointed out, we got jump scared by the Robin at the start. The very aggressive double back by Fednet. And then no trace of him. I'm pretty sure he repaired 3 generators in that trial, though. So, without him, none of this would have been possible. But yeah, I mean, Bucky's phenomenal chase at the start. Just, how many blinks did he dodge? I think 4. A good 4. And, yeah, just incredible performance.
Yeah. Going, and now we have that set we talked so much about in that pre-show. We have the Blight coming up, which is Onyx's set, like you said. Sinners did choose Nurse, so, you know, always expected to some degree that a team's going to take their own set choice. You know, you choose a set you're pretty confident, you'd imagine, to some degree. But now going into Blight, now, I'll even say, you'd imagine Sinners is also pretty confident in Blight. Obviously, a little bit of a, not the result they were hoping for last week, but they did choose the Blight set last week into Obi, which, obviously, we've talked about. Obi has been at the top of this game for quite some time. Obi, a very decorated Blight player. Now, Onyx picked it for you, but on Onyx's side, you have to be pretty confident as well on serving killer. You saw what happened last week. If you're a killer, I didn't quite see who it was in the lobby. I don't know if it is still Raza or not, but you'd have to be pretty confident. You just have to stay calm, catch these rotations, convert your rushes.
It is once again going to be the captain of Team Onyx, Raza, taking upon himself the responsibility to perform as the killer, to represent his team on this side, going into this Blight set. And I must admit, I have made first-hand experience against Raza, because I remember playing against Onyx in a 10x tournament final, and we ended up dropping the first set against Onyx, which was the Blight on Suffocation Pit 1, might I add. But Oba did come back to 1, so GG, well played. But yeah, I did make first-hand experience against his Blight, and he has been playing this for a considerable amount of time, so I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled off an equally promising performance. Gonna see a very different hello. That is Fednet. Look, speak of the devil, Fednet, the person that we saw hardly any chase, but will be found again at the start once more. And it seems like Raza is going to commit to this chase this time around. What are we expecting? Are you happy that he finally gets some chase time as well?
You know, as in these S tier sets where there's so much chasing to be had, as a survivor, you always want to make sure you get something, and Fednet now going to be starting things off. This is our Deliverance survivor, so not the ideal survivor you probably want to be chasing. Obviously, Raza doesn't know that. No tag coming through just yet, but Fednet chaining these pals together so well. Going to be forced to pre-drop that one is, not end up connecting on that swing. Fednet going to buy just a little bit more time, and Raza going to be leaving this actually, or maybe not, as we come back to break that pallet once again on Fednet, who's wrapping around this rock. We see our first gen pop, and we also see a bit of info from one of our perks, Rancor, going to be used to probably catch rotations. Also, could be used to Mori and Obsession Survivor later in this trial, so have to see if we end up going for that as Raza, but going to be bumping around this garage, going to break and zone this pallet to some degree, but it's really hard to zone this pallet when you always have that front window to be able to chain to, but looks like Fednet just going to end up playing around in this main room. just wrapping this gas station right now. Going to be rushing now. Raza getting the shoulder flick on Fednet. That'll be our first down of this trial, as survivors have a lot of gen pressure as well.
But oh my, what do I spot with my little eye? The perk that I've already addressed at the start of this stream here. Shoulder the burden allowed against Blight. And now that I think about it, that is absolutely cracked with Deliverance, isn't it? Because now it doesn't matter that it was in fact Fednet who was found first, because he still gets a second shot at proccing or at unlocking that Deliverance. We do see, however, whom is he committing to? He is gonna stick to Fednet, expecting that this has to be the Deliverance play, and he connects it with an immediate 2-tap. We did not have Decisive Strike on this Survivor. So Rasa is gonna be able to reclaim this hook onto Fednet and deny that Deliverance one more time. And now Jason is practically incapable of using that shoulder of burden as well for the rest of the trial. So, do you think that was the right call to make?
For the survivors, 100%. You need the shoulder there. If the tunnel out switches on the Jason, that's perfect for you. Jason is holding that decisive strike alongside that shoulder of burden, so very good situation if you could switch that. But it looks like for a killer, I also think it was the right call. You don't want to go for Jason, obviously. It was a very fast chase, especially with you hitting the endurance of Fednet. As we do see the second unhook come through, Bucky ends up forwarding the people. We're just having all of the support perks come out for Fednet right now. Shoulder the burden for the people.
Whoa.
I'm going to be surprised if we see a pallet save, and oh man, that was a flick right there. Bucky on the floor once again. Or sorry, not once again, for the first time in this trial. But immediately going to be hopping onto that hook right now, as looks like we're just going to be spreading out these stages overall, and it's going to be intriguing to see, does Raza end up going for a tunnel at this game, or are we just going to try to take as fast the chases as possible and just keep chaining Pop and Eruption?
Looks like that is what he's opting to go with, because I do need to contrast and compare this very match to Sinner's Survivor performance against Obi last week. Because what we did see then was a very disorganized Sinners at the start, throughout the entire Blight trial, because you don't just get 4K forward like that. We do have to, however, emphasize on the fact that Obi last week around had the combination of Pain Rest and Grim Embrace allowed, and that has been banned since. So in this week, we are continuing this week without that combination available. So Rasa has to opt with a different build, and this time around, we are getting so much more value out of these second chances. As you've pointed out, these support perks. We've seen Shoulder the Burden, Deliverance for the people, all in a row. So Sinners have been organizing this fantastically well. However, I mean, we're not getting any value out of that Deliverance. Was that Fednet tried to get it back, but yeah, unfortunately, with a very successful 2-tap by Rasa off that unhook. Oh, it's unfortunate. Fednet's gonna be able to avoid another hit here, prolonging that chase so much now. He's only at 3 status right now, so he will need to get a couple more if he wants to keep up and provide the Survivor side with a promising win condition. What is that J-flick? Hello? That's still possible?
Yeah.
I haven't seen something like that in a long time, Cyber. Have you?
I don't know if that was explicit J-flick, but it was definitely a very nice flick. Is one for one more, but Fednet going to be aware of it, seeing this killer is very confident in flicking, and then just be playing a little bit wider. Is now going to be taking it down fully behind the main buildings. We have so much gem pressure, as yeah, Raza mechanically has been super good on Blight, but the Survivor is just taking advantage of the map at 100%. Like you said, being forced that difference in build. The build last week, I'm pretty sure that was played, was that, like you said, that Pain Res Grim. I think we also had Ruin in there. So just fully passive regression. You don't have to act, I don't think we actually ever saw OB go and kick any gens with Eruption or anything like that. So just fully could chase Survivors and keep doing it. Is now, look, Raza has to go and kick this gen. We've seen 4 gens pop already. We need to try to deny that 5th as we're trailing the scratch marks right now. Unhook does come through, going for a flick on this pallet, but Deloff going to be wiser to it, not giving that conversion just yet. Is Raza looking back? If we can spot Fednet, maybe we'll go back for that Survivor. But it looks like now a little bit of uncertainty is we're going to be stuck in between these Survivors. 1 bond, 2, 3, but not going to quite connect as Bucky with some great pathing to be able to buy a decent bit of time, as now Eruption on these 2 high progress gens to try to get somewhat of an explosion, to try to hold on as long as possible, but Survivor is not giving Raza anything to work with.
I just realized something. His, he wasn't able to rush anymore after the 3rd. You know what that means? He's got the add-on that he's only got 3 rushes. He's got the Blight tag. I'm pretty... Wait, hang on. I need to look this up. Because, I mean, it's really annoying that you can't see the... Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, he does. Awesome. Yeah, because unlike probably every tournament you've ever seen, typically when you go to the Blight page, you see every single add-on banned except for 2 speed. I mean, I don't understand why tournaments just straight up say, okay, you're only allowed these 2. I've allowed everything. Or practically. Obviously not Alkring, etc. But all the really strong stuff. But Iridescent Blight tag is one of the add-ons that is allowed. I did not expect that. I didn't even... I mean, I should have checked the build on in all honesty. But that is really funny. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that we were only using 3 rushes. As we've hit the game now, we Jason be carried to we Jason's first hook, but we Jason's second stage. We just shoulder the burden, but right now, looking for Deloff here. 1 rush going to be used, 2, 3, and that's going to be it. Yeah, no, now it is blatantly obvious that we've only used 3. I guess it makes sense why Raza was going for as many flicks as they probably just didn't have any more rushes left. Is Unhook going to come through right now? We're looking. We had the information before, I think, from Rancor of a survivor being over here, and it's going to be Bucky who's going to be taking that tag. This is our Obsession survivor, so if we get them down, we can moor this survivor due to Rancor. Now rushing into that mid-map. We have our rushes back and available. Rush going to be going on this town at 1, 2. We have 1 more to be using, and that is it. Bucky on the floor is... I would have to imagine we're not going to take this hook stage. I would imagine this is just going to be a Mori just to secure, to ensure that no one gets unhooked in this trial, but looks like it's looking for a bit longer.
Ooh.
I think we have plot twist by We Jason, yeah. I think Deloff was playing a little close just to ensure that We Jason doesn't get found there, but I think all survivors should be back on their feet and healthy. Yes, they are. So taking their leave, Deloff. Maybe a little bit of friendly sandbagging, but they're all at the X gate anyways. That is all 3 survivors out of this trial. Fednit, We Jason, and Deloff is... That is 7 stages overall. 3 freshes gained for Raza.
I want to say it's a good amount of status overall, but it would have been oh so much juicier had Deloff also been hooked there. Yeah, that Iridescent Blight tag, that took me off guard entirely, even though we should have really noticed mid-game when the moment I mentioned the J flick, and I assumed, wait, what am I looking at? Because I do have this available on the replay from the middle of the trial, so let us head on over to that. In case anyone is not caught up with what this add-on does exactly. So again, what we pointed out immediately, it limits your Blight stacks at 3, so you will not be able to rush more than 3 consecutive times. But the upside, or the great upsides to this add-on is that 1, it increases your movement speed during a rush by 10%, and 2, it increases your maximum look angle during a rush by 20 degrees. And that is exactly what we saw during this trial, I want to say, during the chase onto... Who was it again? I'm pretty sure I was fed in it, off this Unhook. We do get the down onto, or the chase on Bucky here. Pretty sure I did capture this at one point. I mean, we see how quickly it turns, you know. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, you are correct. I think a lot of the flicks have been patched to maximum look. So for Blight, it's quite a bit more difficult right now. I don't know if you can do it. There's some very expert Blights out there. It's a question for them if some of these flicks are possible still, but yeah, definitely got a lot of usage out of it, honestly. To be fair, like I said, I didn't even notice this. I don't think you noticed this till basically the end of the trial, so it wasn't really a huge impeding factor. Normally when you think about playing this add-on versus good survivors just count the rushes to 3. You play around it so much, knowing that the Blight doesn't have that flexibility of having 2 extra rushes to be able to use to secure these hits, but it didn't seem like an impeding factor whatsoever for Raza.
I'm curious to see now what Sinners are cooking up in the upcoming trial as well. I mean, we've seen a very different build from last week, which is, of course, based on the fact, again, that balance changes have been made. So yeah, but that Rancor Pop Eruption, I wonder if there's anything stronger yet that we're not thinking about. Maybe Jason's also gonna bring out the Grim Embrace, just no pain res. But yeah, I mean, only time can tell, really. I mean, obviously, we could also just cheat and check the channels right now, because obviously we have access to them, where the teams have to send in their builds. But yeah, that is what we are working with right now. I don't want to spoil anything, take away from the... Yeah, excite... What's the word? From the suspense, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really couldn't tell until the end of the game, and I feel a bit stupid right now, honestly. But then again, when do you ever get to see this add-on? And how much Blight do I watch? Because personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this, of playing against this killer. He's always fun to watch, however, considering he's all over the map constantly. It's very unfortunate Raza wasn't able to get that fresh hook onto Deloaf throughout the trial. Also, every time I said Deloaf, I keep thinking of Fargo. I'm not sure if anyone's seen the series, but season 1 at least. Firmly recommend. On that side note, I didn't get any reaction from Cyber, so I'm assuming you're unfamiliar. But that's would be digressing. Give me your yes or no.
Personally, not familiar with that series or what you're referring to, but
okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely some people in the audience that will know it's a fantastic thriller series. But yeah, anyway, let us get back to business. Because, yeah, again, we are starting to load in to, or at least setting up the lobby for our upcoming Blight trial. And we did see Rejason 4K, or not 4K last week either, did go for stages. And Onyx are very experienced on this very Blight set as well. With 7 stages in, do you think this is looking pretty good for Sinners or pretty good for Onyx here? Because we didn't get that deliverance value in the previous trial. That is a big highlight I want to mention once again. Because we have so many second chance perks available, so many, as you said, support perks. But we didn't get to see the deliverance. Could that turn the tide here?
It could. If we're going for fresh hooks and we're able to take the deliverance, if Survivor's able to get the deliverance off to get that self unhook so no one has to rotate. Gashaven, obviously a very big map. Being forced to rotate for unhooks is quite punishing on Survivors. Wastes a lot of time. Very good for the killer, but that self unhook could be very, very huge. I will say, if the Survivors end up playing like they did in that nurse trial, where early on we did see a tunnel out, we obviously, DS was the Survivor that got tunneled. Life bought a lot of time. I think that was Aaron in that previous trial on the nurse, but if we see something similar and then entering 3v1 all healthy, playing safe, I mean, we could see this be win 7, like you said. I don't know how to feel about it. As obviously, you got to take the last week result, that 4K4 with a grain of salt. That you should have never expect that. You can't think that's the outlier in the statistics of averages. You can't take that 4K4 and be like, yeah, that's the result you should be getting on this killer. So is 7 good? I honestly don't know. As Jason historically coming in with very aggressive builds, whether it be a very aggressive chase build with some killers or very aggressive regression, just leaning very hard into aggression. I feel like it's just always Jason style. Jason is very confident in their mechanics and is always just trying to snowball as fast as possible. I think Jason's goal in every trial, obviously every killer's goal is this, but I think Jason especially always has that goal in the back of their head of, I want a 4K5 this trial with how they play. And it looks like, yeah, we're going to see a pretty aggressive regression build here, as we're going to have the Grim Embrace like we talked about, no pain res in play, but we have the Ruin Undying Eruption. I think this might be very I think this is the same build we played in our nurse game, except for no Grim Embrace, we had Agitation. So, yeah, just full banking on slowing down these gens for as long as possible. And we are going to have a bit of info thanks to Undying here on a Survivor sitting on the Shenna right now. 1 rush, 2, 3, and we do not have the Iridescent Blight tag. So that is going to be our 4th rush, and actually going to be our Deliverance Survivor Elo. Going to be taking that hit now, just trying to get away from these active generators, but don't know how far we're going to realistically be able to make it. It's popping that fog vial, maybe trying to lose the killer, and I think it is going to help a little bit, but Jason's tracking is still sublime. It is almost impossible. Still going for a flare at the last second, but doesn't pan out in our Survivor's favor.
Oh, too far. That would have been a clip and a half right there. A desperate attempt by Lebvi to get a flashlight save to help his Deliverance Survivor. I honestly, Cyber, I have to confess, I'm a bit confused by that early game. Because why would the Deliverance... Because you obviously get a notification when you're being revealed by Undying at the start. Why would the Deliverance Survivor out of everybody continue working on that generator when the aura is being revealed? I mean, I would have understood it had it been the Decisive Strike Survivor, or anyone but the Deliverance player, really, to distract from him, because he's the only Survivor that needs to not get hooked first. And we don't get the pain, the shoulder the burden here either, which means Deliverance is out of the trial as well, just like we've seen it in the previous trial.
Yeah, Ledvi gonna be the survivor we end up committing to, though we don't end up going for that tunnel out right now. Or as I say that, of course, we might be leaving, it looks like, and going for a flick onto the survivor. No, Elo is not gonna be going down just yet. I think that was all 5 rushes used. As we're gonna be able to wrap back to the main building here. As I don't think we're gonna actually end up going inside. We're gonna instead be stuck at that back main pal and popping that fog bile once again, but Jason is so close. You can't really expect to get much fog bile values. First gen does pop, but at the cost of Elo's second down. As now Ledvi is not going to end up coming to. We'll see if a reset does come through. As like you said, this is the Deliverance Survivor, and there's a perk in play here. I don't know who has it equipped, but if we can get our Shoulder the Burden Survivor over here, we might be able to save Elo for a little bit longer in this trial.
And speak of the devil, as you pointed it out, it is going to be Aaron, who is already approaching that hook very, very carefully, cannot get found under any circumstance, and will most likely Shoulder the Burden. Here, as we see Ledvi go down as well. Cross map, have to note, so this is going to be a great waste of time on behalf of Team Onyx here, because now they have the time to reset up, evacuate Elo really from this, or either, to be honest, because right now we have no more Death Hook Survivor. That is what one of Shoulder the Burden's greatest strengths overall. So yeah, now we've got 3 different Threshers. And yeah, with that Grim Embrace now proccing a second time. I wonder how much that is slowing down our survivors overall, because I mean, Grim Embrace essentially just stun locks the game for those 10 seconds for over and over and over until it's the full minute that those generators are blocked for. Jason will also just make quick work of Scroily here. That is going to be our 4th Thresh, meaning, considering the stage count that Russell was able to achieve in the previous game, he needs to get 2 deaths now, Jason, and he would win.
Yeah, doesn't matter who we commit to. Obviously, we probably are looking for Aaron here. As much as we have our 4 Threshes technically in the eyes of our scoring, the game does not see as we have that 4th Grim Embrace stack. We want that Grim Embrace. We want that regression where, or I guess it's not even regression, that huge window where survivors can just twiddle their thumbs and wait for the generators to unblock. Just try not to get chased. Don't get tagged. Just try to wait out as long as possible. But I think we are going to spot a survivor, and I don't think it actually is going to be Aaron. No, it's going to be Elo once again, our Deliverance survivor, who doesn't have that Deliverance up, obviously, but does have the Overcome to try to buy some time, as we're just trying to send it away to this tile. And Jason actually going to be able to get a 2 rusher. That's going to be pretty good for our killer here in terms of getting those rushes back pretty fast, as Elo going to be forced to drop that jungle gym. Now going to be trying the rush around. 1 rush going to be used, 2, 3, and that is all Jason needs, as Elo on the floor once again. Ledvi, I think, is going to be able to pop a gen before we are able to do anything about it, but I have to see here is Scroly's still injured. A lot of stages gained up here. Survivors need to start playing safe. They need to start pre-leaving like we saw in that nurse trial.
Might still be injured, but still has that Dead Heart available. However, if we remember the very unfortunate Dead Heart use in our nurse trial, then, I mean, we can just can't assume anything. But what is fact is that the ping is still just as bad, so Dead Heart will be very difficult to time. However, Scroily decides to very gracefully donate Jason with another hook stage by vaulting right into his face. I mean, obviously expecting Jason to just immediately send it around the pallet. He's probably punching air right now. Why would he wait there? Why would he wait there, man? We get the cleanse done finally, so that is Undying eliminated from the trial. Undying, very valuable aura reveal, as you saw at the start of the trial, to the point where some killers just bring Undying on its own, just considering with how much information it can give. It's basically like a lethal pursuer, but weak. And you know what, Cyber, you've been speaking so much about Aaron being found now. What would this mean if Jason gets this down?
Jason secures this down in hook stage. Obviously, we are going to get our full Grim Embrace once we hook the survivor, but that is also just going to be the set win, and I'm pretty sure Sinner's taking it 2-0 on the day, as this will be our 7th stage with our 4th Fresh. I'm pretty sure Roz was only able to get 7 stages, 3 Fresh now. Jason going to be forced to breaking that pallet. Good patience by Aaron, but zoning nonetheless here. I don't think we have any resources to be able to grab. We might make this pallet. It's going to be close. Does Jason swing for it? No, we do not. Is that Ruin also going to end up being cleansed? And just picking that pallet. 1 rush, 2 is some great bump logic there. Immediately 180ing, knowing the survivor is going to double back, getting them on the floor. But unless someone's here with a flashlight or a firecracker, I think that is the set win and the overall win for Sinners.
Yep, that seals the deal. That is going to be 7 stages, 4 fresh, in contrast to the 7 stages, 3 fresh in the previous round. And, Saber, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that 4 is a greater number than 3. Meaning that is Sinners advancing in the higher bracket, and I was about to say Onyx being sent home, but no, of course not. Double elimination tournament, lads. That means they're going to the lower bracket. But let us focus on the game at hand, as it is still being played out. Oh, fantastic hit here by Jason. Flick of the wrist around the rock. Gets the hit onto Scoily here, who is now on a last-ditch effort, trying to evade his impending doom, and I'm not speaking of Terraria. Finally hits the dead hard, wonderfully timed, and Jason probably didn't expect it. Yeah, very well timed by Scoily. Will keep him in the trial for now, but Jason finds El Survivor right away, somehow narrowly avoids this lunge around the corner as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Scoily is about to be eliminated. Yeah, here we go, that car is...
man!
You can bump out. No, what's the word? You can slide off that car very efficiently. Oh yeah, hug the car. If you're into that. But yeah, anyway, we did see a last-ditch effort here by our survivors to get that flashlight save, but to no avail. Jason will score that first sacrifice in this trial at 2 generators remaining. Tries to get a cheeky hit onto Elo here as well, but to no avail. He is going to prolong that injury just a bit more. And about our gen pressure, we do have Aaron and Levy on 2 separate generators. We had Elo on a 3rd, just in case. I'm pretty sure they're going to try to rotate this here. I really like the tag team here, the baton pass, in essence.
Yeah, you take this, Shen. I don't want to deal with this, as it looks like Elo is going to be stuck here running into that garage, but I think this pallet was used earlier. Or no, it actually hasn't. That was the previous trial. We do have the door open, but Elo, the confidence there. We've seen Jason has been collaborating at this trial. As, of course, we see Jason just swing around the pallet this time. But Elo, confident enough to just sit there and go for that stun overcome. Now I'm going to buy us a decent time as... Oh, man. That was a mind game by Jason. Elo, I think, looking back a little too much, wasn't watching ahead of them when there's a Blight on that side of the kill. But Elo now on that hook for the final time in this set. Back to the campfire you go, as it is now just Levy and Aaron trying to pop those last 2 turns, trying to get something out of the trial. But, oh, my... Jason, you know, we talked about Raza was playing very well mechanically on Blight. Jason is as well, as I wouldn't call this playing very well mechanically, as we're just swinging at that window hoping for nonsense, I can't lie. He's now going to be rubbling back, and oh, there's the next down. Aaron on the floor is Jason just closing this out in style. Once they got that win con, you know, it's not something you see often to touch back on what we saw earlier. We got a little bit of a slide off that car. RIP to the hug tech of Blight, but just a little bit of an homage almost, as you still can slide off of some of these cars in this map. I think this is the only map that really allows you to slide off anything other than like some very small snow piles on the Orman maps.
Yeah, Hillbilly and Joyce will know about those cars. I mean, you call it the Syndicate car for a good reason, because it has no collision on that side and you can just go on forever. Kind of like the Blight could as well, or he doesn't. Yeah, there's no collision on his ability there. Will Levy make it to the hatch? It is looking very unlikely, because there's a whole tile separating him from his escape. I did hear it for a sec. Oh no, there's no way I could have heard it.
Oh?
Was he waiting out the BH there?
I think we just missed
Go,
the
Levy,
flick,
go.
funny enough. As there's only 2 rushes now. We have the locker. Can we fake with the locker? No! Levy does not end up making it to the hatch. Got pretty close, honestly, I will say. Getting that 1 miss from Jason there definitely helped. But as a 4K2 overall for Blight, Sinners, like we said, closing out 2-0, advancing to that next round. We don't know, if I'm not mistaken, who their opponents are just yet, as I think on their half of the bracket right now, they're the first team to finish their match.
Yep, I'm going to have to check challenge for that. If anyone wants to try to beat me to it, then !challenge in the chat. But yeah, first of all, the summary of this trial. So comparing the 2 sets now, what we've just seen. Again, Rust on Killer first, and Jason following up after. So yeah, we had the 7 stages before. Onyx were only able to pop 4 generators in comparison to Sinners 5, and the 12 stages as well. We did see that 4th fresh hook hit the moment Jason was also able to claim that 7th stage, which already at that point had sealed the deal, regardless of what Onyx would have been able to pull off on the Survivor side. So yeah, that is a clean 2-0 win here for Sinners on, I want to say, this is probably our shortest stream yet, because all of these have typically been 2 hours, and we're not even 1.5 in yet. But yeah, that's what happens when you get Nurse and Blight, who are two very high-paced killer. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, especially with the efficiency of these teams. The trials don't take that long. Normally if it's very brutal 4Ks or certain sets like Singularity, the trials will tend to extend for quite a while, but S tiers who have a lot of efficiency tend to close things out, and then also on the serve side, if you have a lot of efficiency and the killer doesn't as much, trials just end up going by almost in the blink of an eye.
Trying my absolute hardest to open challenge in the meantime, but it's not letting me on PC right now. Hang on. Log in. Yes, Google. I want to give the update on who's playing what. That's why.
I think I have it up if I'm not mistaken. I think tomorrow, correct me if I'm wrong, we have or maybe it's Monday, I might be mistaken. Serene versus Elysium, who will be meeting Sinners. The winner of that match will meet Sinners in the upper bracket. And then I think the following day, I think that is Tuesday, we'll have Petroleum versus Mercy, who the winner of that match will be meeting X9 in the next round.
Yeah, it's very important that you point that out, because, yeah, we do not have a match tomorrow, as our teams have scheduled a Monday and I want to say Tuesday. It is in America, but it really is Wednesday, because we're looking at a 1 a.m. match, CET. So you'd better be up for that, because I will be, because I'm the one streaming. But yeah, that's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I've finally been able to open the challenge now myself. So yeah, I'm really curious about the lower bracket, because yeah, so the loser of this match, Onyx and Sinners, will obviously descend to the lower bracket, and that has been Onyx. Onyx will meet Invictus in the lower bracket. So, I mean, it's also just funny to point out that Invictus are in the lower bracket in round 1, no? Is that something you've ever seen before?
Just looking at it right now, just from an optic perspective here. Looking at that lower bracket round 1, you have Invictus in the losers round 1. And then also, just touched on it a bit yesterday, Umbrella Praxis is going to be a match. Two teams that you wouldn't bat an eye at seeing in grand finals of any tournament. Just the first losers round 1. One of those teams getting eliminated just first. They could. We obviously don't know how scheduling for that round will be yet, but we could see Umbrella or Praxis just the first team flat out eliminated from the tourney.
I mean, that's I find that super exciting. I find it super interesting. I don't think it's anything that's ever been investigated in comp, and now people might slap me on the back of the head and say, yeah, for a good reason, Mathis, we want to see them in the final. But no, that's just rigging brackets and just forcing hype, in my opinion. I mean, if anyone here watches sports, you'll understand that there's just... You don't typically rig the bracket to always have the exact same two teams in the final. It might be looking similar regardless, because, I mean, I'm not expecting Invictus to drop against... to drop anytime soon in the lower bracket regardless. They could fight an epic battle back to back to back to back. But in the end, they will have to face off one of the other top teams as well, Umbrella, Praxis. Elysium might also join them in the lower bracket. They do have to play against Serene on Monday, as we've already touched on. So, and then after they'll also go against Sinners, if they end up winning. And if not, they'll be facing off Aegis in the lower bracket, and then they'd be on the side of Invictus, on the side of the bracket of Invictus. So it's so funny to see these teams meet in the lower bracket. I don't even need to ask you, because you've expressed that yourself already. It's super fascinating to see. I'm really, really happy with this bracket so far, and I'm excited to see what comes next. But yes, that is going to conclude or what we have to offer for today with the matchup. But of course, we do have a lengthy outro to go over. First of all, I want to give the final word to Cyber here. Obviously, thank you once again very, very much for joining us today. Are there any finishing thoughts you would like to share, be it on the match, on the tournament in general, or just talk about yourself if you want to? Feel free. I'm not limiting any speech here whatsoever. Go ahead, good sir.
Nothing, just thank you for having me here. I'm always excited to watch these games, to be able to cast them, and to be able to watch them without stream delay. It's amazing.
stream delay, especially that you're watching it from the production point of view, but we're also trying to limit delay as much as possible, which is why you've probably seen a 2-minute delay for the first time in a very long time. Typically you'd expect perk covers, but we're having none of that. That is just so boring to look at. And our streamers, or the players that decide to stream, are only on a 3-minute delay themselves, so typically you'd see at least 5 minutes, up to 10 minutes in some other tournaments. But yeah, we want to be as viewer-friendly and as player-friendly as possible, which is why they're only on a 3-minute delay themselves, so yeah, to avoid spoilers as well. They're gonna happen regardless. Even if you put a 10-second delay, there's still gonna be someone in the chat spoiling. But yeah, I mean, thank you for the kind words, Cyber. Again, it's mutual, 100%. I'm very happy to have you on every single time. And yeah, today we had a very short match up. I was gonna say if we go tiebreaker, then everybody's gonna be on the edge of their seat hoping this finally ends so they can watch Norway-England playing in the World Cup of Football, so that's obviously also what I'm going to be dedicating my time to later this night, as well as Argentina-Switzerland at 3 AM. But yeah, I digress way too much. Thank you very, very much for Cyber, but that is not where my extended gratitude will end. Obviously, we have Milay and Eddie taking care of the refereeing job in the background, setting up the lobbies, making sure that teams behave, that lobbies are set up on time, perks are being sent in, perks are, yeah, the correct loadouts, that's the word, correct builds are equipped, and if not, if we get a cheeky bugger like Team Onyx here with the wrong offering, then they do end up taking that penalty, the 0.5 status that we saw earlier. But yeah, Sinners, typically a wrong offering would also imply a restart of the whole trial. But Sinners decided there's no point because, yeah, obviously with the, I'm pretty sure he brought the cut coin if I'm not mistaken earlier. So if Sinners had any chest perks up, such as Moment of Glory or Specialist even, then yeah, obviously that would have interfered drastically with the pace of the game. But Sinners did not have a single chest perk equipped, and they decided, yeah, there's no point in restarting this. We'll just have the fewer chests on the map. It's gonna, it might nerf some of our tiles, might also buff some of our tiles, give or take. But yeah, there was no restart issued, but typically you would see this. In case anyone complains about rule inconsistencies, Sinners just straight up said, yeah, we don't need to. But yeah, that's the word on that. Yeah, Revival Divisions League brought to you by Mathis, me, and James. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm pretty sure that is where my standard gratitude ends. I haven't seen any other availability today. But yeah, I mean, obviously also with the graphics on screen. Once again, thank you very much for Pikz and Flo for taking care of everything. Obviously, Milay and I are also very well much included in the designing and production side of things. But yeah, Pikz does most of the assets you see on screen, most of the designs, and Flo is in charge of the scoreboard and also the round complete screen that you've seen twice today after the respective sets. So thank you very much to them as well. And most importantly, last but not least, thank you very much to our audience that has been watching eagerly in the background. Is there anyone that I need to shout out as well? I mean, yeah, we are affiliate now, so thank you to everybody who's been subscribing to the channel and supporting us financially in any other shape or form. Because, yeah, obviously any donation helps, so I'm endlessly grateful to everybody who decides to invest their money into us. But yeah, it's for a very good reason, very good cause, because you'll just see us expanding ever more and trying to build as big of a league as physically possible. And yeah, we've got great ambitions, great plans coming up for the next year or two even. I've mapped out quite a lot, but yeah, obviously no spoilers yet. You'll see everything revealed to you in due time. That is me yapping a good amount now. Thank you very, very much for tuning in today, for your continued support. We'll be back in 2 days with Elysium and Serene at 9 PM. So thank you very much. I'm pretty sure that's CET. Yes, it is. Central European Standard Time. Thank you very much once again. That is Mathis out. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.